Hello everyone, welcome to Fableheim and Age of Wonders 4, the Giant King's second dev diary and dev stream breakdown. Just like with the first one, this video will be split into two parts. The first part going all over the handcrafted region dev diary, and the second part, all of the new things that I noticed and were discussed in the dev stream, both of which will be linked in the description down below if you would like to read this dev diary for yourself, admire the pretty pictures, or watch the dev stream for yourself. It was a fun one. Without further ado, the handcrafted regions. Hey giants and smaller folks, I'm Boss, a game designer at Triumph Studios. You might remember me from some of the older dev diaries, such as on the Siege system, Umbral Abyss, and some others. This time I am here to showcase some visual improvements we have made to the world map, which come with the free update to the game released alongside the new DLC, as well as a new major type of content in Giant Kings, handcrafted regions. One of the new handcrafted regions you may find. Yes, this little cove looking thing, I think that's an infestation in the middle. This, I think, does show up in the dev stream. Let's start off with the new visual updates, shall we? The Arctic and Desolate Mountains. First off, we have updated the Arctic and Desolate Mountain visuals. The new mountains blend a lot better with the existing visuals of the climb's other overlays. You can now easily tell what climb these mountains belong to. They're quite frosty. Very frosty, in fact. They're beautiful. Usually, mountain doesn't cover, like, all of the mountain, right? What did it say? Usually the whole mountain's not covered in snow, but, you know, it makes sense. And here's the new Desolate Mountain, very ashen, obsidian. Nice little fire giant there. The city sprawl. Next up, we've added sprawling houses and structures around city cores. These are spread in the city core's province and change depending on the city's culture and tier. Now you can visually see the population settle outside the city as it grows, and watch them horribly die as you are endlessly pillaged by a gazillion vassals. We will actually see some more pictures of this, but this looks like it's a lovely tier 1 city. Probably. I was going to say feudal, but is it? I don't know. Feudal culture. It is. City sprawl at tier 1 and tier 4. So this is tier 1. This is tier 4. This must be like a secondary city because there's no like wizard tower or anything. Okay. It does get way more populated. This doesn't quite do it justice, but that's all right. Like I said, I have more pictures. I have plenty of pictures. And down here, this must be primal. Oh, look, the little totem got angrier. It glows. Oh yeah, there's a little around this actual node. I see. So we're looking at the core specifically. Got it. Okay. They did say that, yes. And this must be Mystic Culture. Oh, we're just showing off a few ones. Okay. Yeah, see, look, there's all these little, like... They look like blocks from the bird's eye view, but... Yeah, there's little villages and towns, and holy crap, that's a lot of them. The sprawl will grow throughout your whole empire. We're still reducing the intensity, but this should make your domains look imposing and lived in. Yes, there have been many, many builds. The devs actually had a little bit of a technical issue this stream, and they were playing on hot code, trying to get the stream up and running for our viewing pleasure. I appreciate the effort. Underground climbs and walls. The final major visual update comes paired with the underground rework. While there will be a specific development diary on that rework later, right now we'll focus on the underground Arctic and underground Desolate climb visuals, which now have the unique visuals for bedrock and diggable earth. Wow, this is very blue. This is the Arctic underground with new bedrock and the diggable earth visuals. They're very blue. They're beautiful. They're frozen. And this is the Desolate underground with new bedrock and diggable earth visuals. There are a lot of new underground visuals, and we do have pictures, many of them. Furthermore, bedrock walls, which are technically part of their own uninhabitable region, now detect what climb is adjacent to them and adjust their visualization based on this. This makes the wall surrounding a cavern look more integrated with the cavern's look. Ah, so part of it's frozen, but the inner part is not. I see. These changes not only help improve the visuals of the base game, they also helped us with creating the new DLC content. Let's go into that new type of content now. The handcrafted regions. Regions handcrafted by us developers were first introduced in Eldritch Realms, where the Umbral Abyss layer was exclusively made up of floating islands that had everything painted and placed by us. As we were busy with these, we already had the exciting idea of featuring this type of content on the surface and the underground, mixed in with the regular regions the random map generator creates. As giants were the ones shaping the land of old in finer detail, Giant Kings seemed like the perfect fit for adding handcrafted regions into the natural landscape. Imagine us as giants slinging an insane amount of terraforming spells to make these regions. Developer Giant looking upon her new creation. Yes, like with the Eldritch Realms, our approach with these regions was first to divide them into categories depending on the design goals we had. We ended up with the following categories. Natural regions. These regions are the most numerous of the handcrafted regions that we made. Their main purpose is to beautify the world and present interesting economic hotspots that are different from what you would normally find in the random map generator. They do not present new locations or events that players can find. This way, they are simplistic and we can have a great quantity of them throughout the realms to ensure plenty of variation. Look at that, a proper ruined city. Nice. Lots of mountains. A valley featuring a once prosperous city. Once prosperous indeed. A cavern corridor lined with giant statues. Beautiful. Also can't help but notice the bedrock. I'm sure that'll be fine. In order to push their visuals further, we have also made various decorations such as statues, mists, wandering ghosts, little farms, and such, which we can place in our regions. These have no gameplay implication other than telling a story and making the regions prettier. Try and spot them when you think you have discovered a natural region. That would be very thematic for my many necromantic playthroughs. A haunted forest filled with bones and ghosts. So will this... I wonder if this can appear... Like, if you've set the monster type to being, like, celestial stuff, whatever, and could this just appear in the map, and you'd have a whole map of celestial creatures in just one little section that's, like, full of ghosts? I wonder. A tomb on top of a cliff, surrounded by vast pillars and statues. Now I know where to find my tomb to gather my souls. We also added new functionality for handcrafted regions to be able to randomize climbs and overlays. This was used a lot for natural regions that the same region can appear in various locations, or even appear with slightly different layouts. Variety is the spice of life. One of the regions in temperate. The same region in Arctic. Did you know that rivers and roads in handcrafted regions will try to connect to the rest of the realm? Well, that's nice. Good. We also added a new overlay and climb in the base game update coming alongside Giant Kings, the Dungeon Climb and the Ruins overlay. Both were used to give the world more history of previous empires. They were used a lot in natural regions to tell a story. I think this is just these little squares here. I think that's the texture not loading quite right. A natural underground region with desolate dungeon climb. But we're looking more at like the walls and the nice roads and all that. Nice and orderly, like the giants love. A natural region with the new Ruins overlay. Oh, look at that. Ruins indeed. Ruinas. One of our favorite ways to create visually interesting natural regions was to incorporate ancient wonders into them and shape the region around them. We even created special visuals for the new ancient wonders featured in Giant Kings when placed in natural regions. The Lava Prison ancient wonder with its own handcrafted region. Now, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here, but they did show at the very end of the dev stream that you could annex lava provinces. I don't know if that was specific to the giant fire, the fire giant king, but if it's not, that makes me very happy. But yeah, that looks nice. Landmark regions. At Triumph, we've had art concepts lying around for a while of gigantic visages and custom assets decorating the world map. The Giant Kings, we finally wanted to realize these concepts. Enter the landmark regions. Sorry, I saw this and got incredibly confused. like I said, concept art. But then I saw the character plop in there. I'm like, wait a minute, were they playing on a concept art? Some very early concept of immense landmarks on the world map. These regions were designed to be Age of Wonders version of the wonders of the world. The goal for them was to create big and impressive visual anchors in the world, as well as being an ultimate prize for exploration. The Grand Statutory Landmark. These are very cool. I'm sure they'll explain more, but if they don't, they found them in the dev stream, or found one. Landmark regions contain a single vast structure or natural phenomenon, from a giant raging volcano to a huge eldritch creature trapped beneath the ice. These add a sense of myth and grandeur to the realms, and therefore are also a lot rarer than the natural regions. In a medium realm with fine players, you tend to find only 2 on the surface and 1 underground. You'll be able to find more in larger realms. Besides being visually impressive, we've also given each one of their own lore image and text, giving more glimpses into the grander history of Age of Wonders. That is thumbnail material. Alright. Should I read this? Do you feel it? Forbidden magic lingers on this battlefield, not of creation, but of unlife. My kin tell the story of a traitor king who cursed the ground with ancient magics where he fell. None who fought here shall ever know peace, and so the souls of the fallen remain among their bones, forever fighting, forever dying. Fiala Torbuilder in the Giant's Footsteps. Cool. And this one looks like a... Oh. I don't remember what it's called. In Lord of the Rings, the 2 statues. I see the fallen empire of Meridia, and my heart aches for what my kin have lost. Endless corridors and districts, sprawling to the underground. How I grieve for Meridia's golden age, its lost majesty carved into our history. As a giant king, I must try and live up to its legacy. Cool. Is this Thor in Jormungand? Gazing up at the remnants of what once was a majestic horde, one cannot help but contemplate the dragon that fell here, and its destructive rivalry with the giants. See how even the bones seem to still protect its treasures. As the wind howled through the peaks, I swear I could hear the dragon's ancient roar. Still. Several more parchments of the new landmarks. Can you guess what they are? I gave it a guess. As landmarks are this huge and mythical, we didn't want players simply claiming them like they could with ancient wonders or nodes. We also wanted players to be able to benefit more from them over time as their cities grow. Therefore, landmarks themselves cannot be claimed or annexed, but affect the provinces adjacent to them. You'll want to maybe settle near them in order to claim as much of the surrounding territory as you can. Finding these in the early game can really put you ahead of the other empires, since they do not need to be cleared to benefit from them. Hopefully you haven't reached the city cap yet by the time you find one. So yes, here's an example. The Dragon Teeth Ridge. Provinces adjacent to this landmark gain +5 gold. The Ancient Draconic Frenzy Combat Enchantment. Huh? And a city with 3 provinces adjacent to this landmark gain unlocks recruitments of tier 4 and 5 dragon units, which is insane. Yep. So you can't really claim these regions, but you can kind of expand around them. And for each adjacent province you have, you gain these benefits. So I guess it's fair to say that if you have 3 adjacent provinces, it's basically yours, but I don't know. I guess it depends how it spawns. Could multiple kingdoms gain the 3 province benefits? Not sure. So this is a city with the provinces unlocks recruitment tier 4 and 5 dragon units. I think the one we see in the dev stream says these units are added to the rally. We'll see later. Could also be from an older build. Faded regions. Finally, we have the most complex of the handcrafted regions. These regions were designed to contain unique quests, visuals, and adventures for players to follow. They are essentially small story realms. Ah, yes. A ruler has stumbled upon one of the faded regions, the Crystal Storm Plateau. To showcase what kind of adventures and rewards await you in these regions, I'm going to take you through one of them, the Crystal Storm Plateau, in the screenshot above. Be aware that the following section contains spoilers, so if you want to experience these new regions blindly, be sure to scroll down until you find the end of the spoiler section. In the video description, or not the video description, the YouTube chapters, I'll just put spoilers in all caps. And all the time that has spoilers in it, have spoilers in it. And once that's gone, we're good. For those who don't want to be spoiled. All right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Spoiler time. As you stumble upon the Fated Regions, you'll be greeted by an intro event explaining what you've just run into. In this case, the Crystal Storm Plateau is a mountainous area stuck with continuous storms, which will affect us in combat while within the region. Fun fact, they encountered this in the dev stream and I have screenshots of this. So, the intro is probably going to be spoiled later anyway. So they have the climbing the Crystal Storm Plateau. This triggers with the army that you encounter it. So when you walk in, this triggers. In the dev stream, they had a scout do this, just because that's the scout found it. It's really far away. So I'm not sure if it can trigger again. Like if a new army enters, you get this event. But essentially, you can protect yourself from this event. You can spend mana to give them resistance, or move slower to get some lightning resistance. As we look around, we can see that the region itself is currently uninhabitable and cannot be affected by world spells. Once we've actually managed to fully resolve the mystery of this region, this protection will be lifted and we can annex and cast spells to our desire. Oh, the little quest popped up here. There are crystal storms raging in this region. I have investigated, beware of the roaming Litherine. Okay. We can see the storms wreak havoc in this region and are unable to annex or cast spells yet. As we continue towards the center, we're met with an imposing-looking Litherine simulacrum. Unfortunately, it seems we cannot get rid of him in order to claim this region's many mana nodes, as a magic barrier protects him. We also learn that he is evoked by the Storm Clan, one of the clans of giants you'll learn about as you discover more Fated Regions. The Litherine simulacrum at the center of the Crystal Storm Plateau. Luckily, just as we step back from the magic barrier and its guardian, a friendly enough looking swamp troll offers us a way through. At the price of a few dozen Litherine cores, we accept his deal, but other players might want to steal his ward-breaking orb immediately. Oh, like me. Aha. The troll offers to dispel, so you can accept the deal of the swamp troll, or you can overwhelm the swamp troll to break the barrier by force, which looks like it's a combat. We go on to hunt down Litherine. The region has various mana nodes and pickups guarded by them, but while fighting them, we're getting battered by these crystal storms, dealing damage, but more importantly, inflicting volatile charge on our units, meaning we have to split up our units often to avoid damage. Fights in Fated Regions tend to be trickier than normal node fights you will encounter on a realm. Yeah, the volatile charge is the main mechanic of the new Litherine unit type. So, we will see many more of it, I'm sure. But the storm seems terrifying. The moment I saw the crystal crash, it's like a 1 hex radius drop of physical and lightning damage with the chance to inflict volatile charge. But I immediately thought of the, it's been so long since I've done it, I don't remember what it was called. But on the Seal Realms, the Bloody Meteor enchantment, that there's like 4 different elemental effects that can happen, elemental bombardments, and the worst one by far is the meteor. It's a 1 hex radius meteor that drops on your face, and it is awful. It's terrible. I'd rather they freeze my units. Anyway, after having collected enough Litherine cores, the troll kindly holds up his part of the deal and destroys the storm barrier for us. Now we get to the final showdown against the Simulacrum. It is certainly not an easy fight, as he himself is a tier 5 and is joined by various mid to high tier units. Not only that, but the crystal storms continue to batter our forces. The final showdown. Okay. After a hard-fought battle, we claim victory against the Tempest. A storm giant representing the Storm Clan insults us for our deeds, and seems to hint at a rivalry between the clans, and at their ultimate goal of claiming the old giant king's power. Each Fated Region will reveal more lore and secrets that Age of Wonders harbors. So for those who are ready to dive deeper into this world, Fated Regions are the place to be. Accursed traitors! The Men here of Storms, wow. So this is, you could absorb the energies for mana, declare your dominion, I'm assuming 4 Imperium, trace the rippling echoes of the storm to summon beings of pure lightning, maybe the storm elemental things, or what can be learned of the Storm Clan magic must be shared with the Crystal Dwelling. Ah, okay, yeah. The Storm Giant berates us before his death, and we get to claim our prize, besides some choices of rewards, one of which is actually improving relations with this Crystal Dwelling. More on them later. We also gained the Menhir of Storms. The Menhir of Storms is an artifact, much like magical materials. Artifacts grant global bonuses, can be traded with other players, and form a collection when you've gained a set of them. Now, the Menhir adds 4 recruitment points and the Storm Giant unit to the Rally of Leeches. All non-hero giants and demi-giants you control gain the blessing of storms. Demi-giants, huh? Like trolls? I believe the demi-giants are trolls and ogres. But there's not, I mean, there's a river troll. Are we getting an actual troll, though? Unlike magic materials, however, they can also be gained by conquering another player's capital if they had any, and completing a collection will trigger a happening event. Perhaps the other giant clans are harboring more menhirs to find. The turn after collecting all artifacts from the set, the happening Thagnokar's Heir will trigger. Interesting. With this mystery resolved, the Crystal Storm Plateau has become inhabitable and open to spellcasting again. We settle on its crystal center and benefit from its abundance of mana. Most faded regions are incredibly good places to settle once they are cleared. It also looks very nice and symmetrical expansion here. A new city is settled on the Crystal Storm Plateau. We shall call it the Litherator City. And there you have it. The Crystal Storm Plateau has been conquered, a secret of the giant clans and the menhir is revealed, a step towards completing the collection. But the spoilers will end here. You'll have to complete this journey yourself in your own playthrough. We hope you'll have stories to share of your adventures in the faded regions. Alright, spoiler time is over if you skipped ahead. Hello. Basically just went through the faded region. If you have looked at the example above, you'll note that faded regions are complex and share connections with one another. Therefore, faded regions are not enabled by default. They can be enabled through the realm trait, Legends of Meridia. The realm trait is also available in multiplayer. Yes, they turned this on for the dev stream. So Meridia was once the fabled giant kingdom. There are faded regions present on the map, offering quest chains exploring the present and past of Meridia. You gain artifacts. They're protected by the Wards of Fate, which just means you can't cast spells on them. Nice. If you also have the Crystal Dwellings enabled in your realm, they can give you hints towards finding the faded regions, as well as giving you the option to grant them the revelation of mysteries you have uncovered upon completing a faded region. Speaking of the Crystal Dwelling, let's dive into that next. Aside from the categories above, we've used handcrafted regions also in some other places, such as the Crystal Dwelling, which is the new dwelling featured in the Giant Kings. Isn't it magnificent? This dwelling, similar to the Umbral dwelling in Eldritch Realms, acts much like a free city, but is instead inhabited by the new Litherine units. By improving your allegiance, they will grant you access to their archive, a shop of unique spells, artifacts of their own, hero items, and more. Like with the Umbral dwelling, you cannot assign Whispering Stones to Crystal Dwellings. Instead, you can improve your allegiance by taking on special quests or fulfilling their other requests. We did see this in the first dev stream, and a little bit more in the most recent one. These guys don't demand, they merely request, so they won't ask you to suddenly betray your closest ally, which is nice. Modding handcrafted regions. There's actually a question about this in the dev stream, but we expect many modders would love to create their own handcrafted regions. So in the free base game update alongside Giant Kings, we are updating the tools to allow modders to create and implement handcrafted regions into the random map generator. A handy video tutorial explaining the process will be provided with the update, courtesy of Lara, one of our environmental artists who has worked on a number of the regions you've seen here. So the editor tool is getting an update. Wrapping up, and there you have it. I hope you'll be excited to see all of the handcrafted regions the Giant Kings expansion has to offer. Here's a fun overview of all the natural regions, for example, just to give you an impression of the quantity. My goodness. There are quite a lot of them. A whole lot of regions. Oh, would you look at the sundial. Time for me to leave the rest up to imagination. Tune in next time as Thomas takes a deep dive into the feudal culture update, which will be in the free base game update alongside Giant Kings, releasing on the 1st of April. I swear, it's not a joke. Bonus, you can download the wallpaper for Giant Kings here. I'll do that. Don't you worry, I'll be doing that. It might be on the thumbnail. That was the Dev Diary, all about art and the environment and climates. My, oh my. Thank you, boss, for your excellent deep dive. And now it's time to say boss, and we'll say hello to boss again. In part 2 of this video, the screenshots. Boss joined Thomas in their shenanigans today. I believe I can make this even bigger for us. Fantastic. And we are starting off with this image showcasing, I believe this is talking about some of the sprawling villages that were moving out from the city core. But before we expand, there are 2 corrections I need to, I suppose, just say before we get too into this. In the first dev stream and in my first video, I talked about tier 5 items because Tom talked about them. The Giant King's unique trait does not allow you to create tier 5 items. It simply gives a 6th infusion slot. The difference is that a tier 5 item would like scale up in efficiency, whereas the 6th infusion slot is just making a tier 4 item better. So no tier 5 item, just better tier 4s, which is probably more fair and balanced. Balanced. Silly thing. Secondly, Tom also mentioned, and I also echoed, future more types of giants. And he already wanted them to clarify that there will not be more types of giant kings in the Archon prophecies. It'll just be more like wildlife, more types of giant units. There will not be new giant kings added in Archon prophecies. So, clarifications, I have shared them. Here is the Aspirant Knight. They built their very first one, so they were just showing it off. We saw a brief glimpse of this in the previous video, but these are tier 2 knights, and they actually hit pretty hard for a tier 2 unit, but they are nerfed a little bit with the Isolation Slayer. So if they hit something that is adjacent to another enemy, or I suppose their ally, they'll deal less damage. They just kind of had to do this to, I don't remember what exactly it was. There was a technical reason they did this. And upon reaching the legendary rank, it promotes to knight if you have a tier 4 town hall, because the knight is a tier 4 unit, and it is a spooky one at that. They also showed off I say showed off. Oh, that's later. Sorry. Could keep it in myself. They talked to a little bit of a node, the Sjálfall. I tried. We're standing on their pasture, but this is just them asking them to get away. Get off my pasture. They left it alone because they didn't want to go to war with them just yet. Here are the serf quarters, the unique farm for the aristocracy feudal. They hovered it, so I saw it and clicked on it. It gives them draft as well as food, so they can build up their city faster. Here is the Evoker on a horse with its skirt doing a thing. But the reason we're here is because the Battle Mages got a buff. The Battle Mages have, of course, their repeating magical attack, but all of them also have a secondary ability. That ability is typically not very good. So, what they did was they made it so that at the champion rank, that secondary ability will now get buffed. They couldn't hover over it. I don't remember why, but they never did, so I don't know what it does, but it just gets better. Just trust them. I trust them implicitly. Here is the unique building again, just at tier 1. We saw a little bit of the special climate underground. It's very frosty and blue. I do like blue. Here is one of the handcrafted regions that appeared. They have a lovely astral rift in a sigil of some sort, created by something for, I'm sure, definitely not sinister reasons. This screenshot, which is a little whack, I will admit, they talked about a lot here. When you slay an enemy hero, you now get their best item, their highest tier item, and if they have multiple, like say multiple tier 3 items, it'll randomly choose one to give you. This is instead of when they come into your crypt or you capture them, instead of having to like release them or kill them or whatever to get their stuff. Previously, they go into your crypt, you'd sell their corpse, you get all their items. Now, you just get one of their items, and I think always their mount, if they were on a mount, whenever you defeat them. And then they don't have any more items for you to get. So when they're in your crypt or your prison, there's nothing for you to pilfer from them. They're just there either for the passives or for you to, get rid of for getting rid of them bonuses. So you get a lot less items in general now, but they did reduce the crafting time and like crafting costs and stuff for the tier 3 and tier 4 because now there's fragments involved. So they recalibrated the item forge a little bit because you're getting less items overall. So ideally, the whole goal of this is to do less clicking and menu management, which we'll see, see how it all pans out. Here is the Hold the Line, which is a unique, I believe they said aristocracy feudal skill, which means, supposedly a monarchy would be a different one. But this is a 1 hex buff radius giving defensive master, so at the end of the turn they will always end their turn in defensive mode, and charge resistance, giving them resistance to charge. A very nice buff. The fumigation from the Tome of Alchemy was changed. This now, well, first of all, it doesn't do any siege damage. There's a very good reason for that, and we'll talk about it. But this is now suffer 2 weakened instead of suffer 2 poisoned. Here's a new spear. It looks nice. It honestly looks like a chainsaw. A chainsaw on a stick. This probably comes from the Pantheon, if I had to guess. They were surprised at the image, and I liked it. They reached renown level 2, so here is the level 2 version of the Liege Lord. I didn't quite understand this when I first read about it, but this gets buffed. The Liege Lord buff, it gets buffed every level of renown, which is very nice. Also, it gave a bit of experience to all of the members of this house, of their brave knight. The Lord's Manor is the new Apex Aristocracy building. So for each level of renown that the governor has, the city will gain 10 food, 10 draft, and 5 city stability. So at renown level 3, that's plus 30 food, plus 30 draft, plus 15 city stability, which is pretty incredible. I don't think this can be boosted, which is par for the course, but still. The farmstead here, I am assuming, is the SPI of the Aristocracy Tier 2. It might just be Feudal Tier 2. But it's a special farm, plus 15 food, and then plus 5 food per adjacent farm. Counts as a farm. Very nice. Growing is good. And here is the Liege Guard. This is the Tier 3 for the Aristocracy that we briefly looked at in the first video, but now we got a closer look at because they got one. Their Defender evolved. So the Sworn Bond is basically Warding Bond, but better. They can link it to a target-friendly hero. Damage sustained by the linked unit is transferred to this unit with a 50% reduction. So their hero will take no damage, and the damage sent to this guy will be half of the damage that was dealt. At the start of each turn, the linked unit will gain Strengthen. I believe that means just the hero. But still giving Strengthen to a hero every turn is pretty good. Pretty great, actually. Heavy Shield, they gain +1 defense and +1 resistance, ignored by flanking attacks. So just in general, +1/+1, fantastic. And here is the Siege rework. So, for the most part, the Siege battle hasn't received too many changes. But Sieging has received a major overhaul. Previously, in fact, in the second part of the Blint Saga, I had a 10-turn siege, I think. It was like the longest siege of my life. They've done away with that. That's gone. Now, with stone walls, this free city has only 30 defense. However, you may notice that all of the basic siege projects do almost no siege damage. You do 10 by default, I believe. And then with stone walls, this has 30. So that's just 3 turns. Just 3 turns of vibing. And on top of that, all of these projects that attack something like the battlement thing, which would destroy battlements at the start of combat, are now soft counters instead of hard counters. So instead of battlements being destroyed, battlement positions are now set on fire. 25% chance for each battlement position, and it spreads during combat. The undermining the walls, all wall obstacles are damaged at the start of combat, and wall obstacles have a 25% chance of being destroyed at the start of combat. Headlong Assault has been made so much more painful. Units besieging the city take 20 physical damage and suffer exhausted, which means they cannot be healed. Oh, that is very dangerous. That's like, I would probably only press this if there was no resistance at the city. Or just, 3-to-1 type resistance. That, exhausted is so sketch. Raiding party, when the walls are breached, gains 75 gold per tier of the besieged city. This was a tier 4 city, so Thomas saw that and his eyes saw the money. breed is good. Brass defenders is still the same. The defending units take 20 physical damage, and they construct onagers. Still make the onagers, but you may notice they do no siege damage. There are still ways to get siege, or there are still siege projects that do siege damage, but they are far rarer. And when you get one, they tend to do a lot, like 4 or 5 or something. They didn't actually show any, but you know how it is. There's the archer position. There was also another change to sieges. We'll see one, but a main one is that when you're sieging a city, if a defending army sallies out against you, you will now fight in the siege map. It won't just be a general map that's open or whatever. You'll be in the siege. And you'll have all of your siege projects with you. And it'll just be a siege battle. Once, assuming you win, so if you win, and you attack again, of course, to, complete your siege, the walls will all be destroyed because, they lost their defense. And they wanted players to experience siege maps, because usually what would happen kind of like in the mid-late game is you would go to attack, go to siege a city. It would take you forever because they have 100 defense or 160, whatever. Freaking industrious culture. And then you'd be attacked by an army that would come, reinforce them. You fight a battle at 3v3, you fight another battle at 3v3, and then you have like 2 armies left that are ragtag and holding out in their city. And then, you run over them. So, very different in the days to come. This was another quest. Thomas was really torn on whether he should kill them or not. I could feel the struggle. I could feel the emotional tangle between, do I blood for the blood god, or do we just show off the new stuff? They ultimately chose to show off the new stuff, which I, of course, appreciate. Their quest was a challenging quest to retrieve the Knight's Banner. They had to go slay a Baelor, and they did quite well. Here is the siege battle. You can see the battlements up there are on fire, and they do, spread, which can make it trickier for your units as you're scaling the walls, of course. It's not like you're impervious to burning, unless you're a fiend, in which case, good on you. But they added more, houses about. There are even houses here that are, destroyed. Just to kind of give the idea that you are attacking, a city people lived in. But, Boz said they experimented with adding a bunch of cities, little villages and houses and whatnot, inside of the siege map, and the units just got kind of stuck. So they got rid of most of them. But they're still here. They're still here, Traces of people being lived in. And here is a mechanic that I didn't expect. They mentioned it briefly, I think, in the first of Diary about the Wandering Traders. And I don't know if this is part of the free update or part of the Giant Kings. I'm not sure. But this is one of the 3 Wandering Traders. The training camp. The training ogre is for your heroes. He is also a mythical tier 4 unit that's spooky. The training camp will set up in a location within your domain. In this particular case, it was south of their capital city, which is mighty convenient. And when you click on it, here's what it looks like. This particular one of 3. I believe these 2 can be any of them, but he came in with Spellblade, Re-Education, and Death Knight Re-Education. This will refund a hero skill point and change their class to Spellblade or Death Knight. So if you have a character they don't like, you don't like how they're performing as a ranger or whatever, you can respec them into a brand new class. Just, have a Legion of Death Knights. I do that. Governance training, the selected hero immediately gains 100 renowns. They will immediately go up 1 renown level. They did this for their Giant King, which honestly, can't blame them. I do it too. 300 gold though. Mighty expensive early on. And intensive training, the selected hero immediately gains 1 skill point. They emphasize, this says gain 1 skill point, not gain 1 level. So this is just a free skill point on top of, everything else. Both the governance training and the intensive training can only be bought once. And then a blast from the past, the Visions of Woe. This was one of the signature skills prior to the hero skill rework. And this can also, I believe both these, the remaining 2 things can only be bought once. But you can just give this to any of your heroes. I mean, give them a skill. I believe Thomas said that they had like a pile of leftover abilities, and that's what this is. But I wouldn't be surprised if this can show up even, just skills obtained from even current signature skills. Then this passive one here, it was the Mark of Misfortune. Can you get that now? I don't even know. But this used to be, of course, from the tome. Mayhem? Whatever it's called. And in the bottom right, you can notice you can attack the shopkeeper. Now, if you attack the shopkeeper, he is, of course, a rather terrifying fighter himself. Oh, that was supposed to be a perfect transition. But yeah, here's just the thing. You buy it, and then you can pick your governor or your hero from this list. You can attack the shopkeeper. And basically, I believe they said that you get a couple of the items randomly, but then he will never, ever return to your domain. So, take it for what you will. I don't know. They said this merchant will never return, but I don't know if other merchants can appear. There were two more, and I'll talk about them when we're done with the Trainer Ogre. But, like I said, Tier 4, Mythic unit, terrifying, 150 HP, 5/5 defenses, 7 stage resist. He has a repeating attack, but his real scary stuff is his support. He has the free spur to action, the get back into fight, which is a full action. Target friendly unit regains full health as temporary hit points. And the expert advice, a free action. Target friendly unit gains 5 random positive status effects. Now, I don't know. I mean, I believe this is meant to be a character you can't recruit, but there are ways. I don't know if he is immune to the shenanigans of the, the polymorph final chance thing, final ultimatum. We'll see. We'll have to experiment one day. So, about the trainers, there are 2 others that were not shown. One is I think they call him a Beast Wrangler, and basically he offers mounts, exotic mounts for heroes, and he offers a chance to give your whole faction a new mount. This is, of course, previously something that is determined on character creation. Now there's a way to get a new mount. And I would imagine he offers special mounts for the faction, like mounts that you couldn't choose as in character creation, but I don't know. The second one is a seer, a mystic seer or something. And from this mystic seer, you can purchase knowledge, which of course we'll do every time, naturally. They can reveal like locations and landmarks, and you can even pay them to reveal the entire map. Latama said it was something like 2,000 gold or something to do that, which sounds cheap. Like, I mean, at this stage of the game, it'd be super expensive, right? Almost like just not worth it at their current stage. But 2,000, you can make that pretty quick if you know what you're doing. Or, expanding well, I suppose. Their Giant King reach renown level 3, and this is what the Liege Lord's trait looks like at level 3. It keeps getting better. In battle, they and all units of their house gain plus 30 hit points and plus 15 morale. That is insane. And, another thing I just remembered, the Liege Lord unit upkeep reduction stacks with logistics training, which is very nice. I believe that's 20% upkeep reduction. So if it stacks additively, this would be a minus 50% unit upkeep. Not bad. Not bad. They encountered Thomas's lovely creation, Kaya, from a series long past. And the reason I took the screenshot was, I don't remember the black smoke coming out of the eyes. I mean, I dig it, don't get it wrong. I appreciate it. But I don't remember it. I also didn't remember this. The Arcane Amplifier. They located the Giant Crawler's Altar, one of the new golden ancient wonders. This was kind of like a combination of... This is a combination of a landmark and the ancient wonder. When annexed, 5 Imperium plus 30 gold. Counts as a mine. All owned provinces adjacent to this ancient wonder gain plus 2 Imperium additional income. Nice. And adds the Rock Giant and the Storm Giant to the Rally of Leeches. Here is the landmark, they stumbled upon. Don't worry, we'll see it more specifically. This was the mechanic of them changing their governor. Their newest hero, their ranger, who has a uncertain identity, I suppose, was being transferred to their newest city. And removing a governor from their city will result in -20 city stability for 3 turns, and all units loyal to its house will become demoralized, presumably for 3 turns. They picked up the Tome of Dungeon Delves? I think that's what that says. Depths? Dungeon Depths, probably. And I don't believe we got to see the SPI it comes with, the Dungeoneering Conclave. This is what transforms the terrain into dungeon terrain. So each turn, alter an underground province into dungeon up to the city's domain. This functions exactly like the Tome of Encroaching Gloom. Not Tome, but the Altar of Encroaching Gloom. Gains plus reduction per adjacent dungeon province. And the special SPIs from the Tome have to be built on a dungeon province. We got to see one here, the Underground Vault, plus 10 gold, plus 3 gold per adjacent dungeon province, and plus 1 Binding Essence per adjacent dungeon province. An income of Binding Essence is super rare. I'm not sure if there's actually any way to get that prior to this upcoming patch. And here's their landmark that we discovered, the Heroes Memorial. Provinces adjacent to this landmark gain plus 10 city stability, and a research post on this province grants plus 2 Imperium. A city with 3 provinces adjacent to this landmark gain. The governor of the city gains 10 renown every turn, and units recruited at the city gain plus 1 starting rank. I must have confused the landmark for the wonder. But yeah, this is crazy. The governor gaining renown, this is just a free path to level 4 renown for your Gaudier. And of course, if you're going like Shadow Tomes, like the Kaya lady, research posts are just thrown at you. That's a bunch of Imperium. Magnificent. She had already gotten 5 out of 3 adjacent provinces. I'm not sure if the AI is coded to build around these or if it's just a happy circumstance, but she went hard for it, and I respect it. So here is the Fated Region. Now, in the first part of the dev diary, I warned you about spoilers. They did go into the story for that. So that I do think is spoilery. This one, we're just going to see the introduction when they walk into it, and then we're going to see some of the units. They didn't really involve the story at all for this. So they walk into it, they're in danger. There are crystal storms falling from the sky in combat. It's big bad. Really bad. Volatile Charge is the mechanic of the Lythorn, the Crystal People. This is debuff that on expiration, this unit and adjacent friendly units sustain 8 physical damage and 8 lightning damage. It goes boom. And here is the big bad thing in the center, the Lythorine. That's just called Lythorine. Simulacrum. It does have... And yes, this is a JoJo reference. Yeah, it has like the pose. You're approaching me pose. It has the Crystal Charge, a 1 AP 1717 physical electricity. Charge at target enemy and deal 50% of damage to adjacent enemies. Gains 20% damage per hex traveled up to 3 hexes. Cancel defense mode, remove retaliation, and inflicts the Volatile Charge. The Volatile Charge is the Lythorine mechanic. It will reappear. And then Chain Reaction. Target enemy unit within 4 range. Sustains damage, 33 lightning. If they have Volatile Charge, end it, triggering its effect. This effect then cascades to adjacent enemies, units, and is repeated. This guy is a monster. He also has the Crystal Reflection. Non-melee attacks are reflected back at the attacker for 20% of the damage. Does he still take damage from it, though? Or is he, like, impervious to the damage? Like, mere veil? He has a reactive core. When any volatile charge triggers its effect, this unit gains strengthen for 3 turns and regeneration for 3 turns. He is probably going to be a monster. And this is just what the Wards of Fate is. This is the region protected by spells. Can't cast world map spells until you complete its little story. Here is the Lythorine Needler, a tier 2 ranged unit. It's a little ball with crystal shots. 6 physical, 6 lightning repeating. Electricity. Astral, shock. 4 range. Okay. Fires range protection off the enemy unit with the 60% chance to inflict the Volatile Charge. I'm not sure if you'll really be able to play... It also has Crystal Reflection. So it's probably like Mirror Veil then, right? Where they take the damage, but 20% is just reflected back. I'm not sure if it'd be possible to like do a full Volatile Charge shenaniganry, but It could be strong. After slaying the Baelor, they got to the Stone Pact with Shafal. I feel like I'm butchering it worse every time I say it. Which opened up some new options. The Gold Seeker's Pickaxe. By the way, none of these weapons are for the Giant Kings. These are just regular people weapons. A repeating pickaxe. Melee attack with combo. Third strike and a turn has a basic percentage of inflicting gilded. I did not read that. That's really cool. The Titan's Great Bow, which is a tier 2 bow that deals more damage but has less accuracy. 70% base accuracy. 20 repeating, though, is very spicy. The Shatter Blade, which is a very cool skirmisher weapon. 7 physical, 7 lightning repeating for its melee attack with a chance to inflict volatile charge. And then it has the Throw Shatter Blade for 12 physical, 12 lightning, which I'm assuming is a physical attack, much like the a single target attack, like the Shade from the Tome of Shades. You could be your very own little ninja now. The Litherite Scroll is by far the craziest thing here, though. Once you buy this, you gain +1 of all affinities to your empire. It's actually insane. Like, it is so worth not killing these people until you get this. I believe at the highest level, there's a second one of these two. I think that's what Boss was saying. They didn't, like, scroll down and check out or anything, but perhaps. The Litherite Orb is a mage thing. Units summoned by this unit gain Volatile Summon. Oh, that's cool. Can mages summon units? 7 physical, 7 lightning repeating. Okay, not too bad. And of course the stab. The stab's irrelevant. Here is they had a question, do we want the blade or do we want the bow? Thomas just picked bow. Because, chat. 50% bow, 50% blade. Just pick one. And this is what it looks like. There's a giant crystal as the arrow. It looks a little weird, but hey, style points. Here is the... Thomas was trying to tap in to another save file, and Boss was showing off the plushie. The Watcher plushie is going on sale Monday. And there may or may not be a giveaway of some kind. I don't know. Join their Discord. Ask her about it. But here is what Thomas was tapping into with his forbidden ways. On this dev build, they were showing off some of the underground. For example, this beautiful city he has down here, where he annexed into lava. Again, I'm not sure if he could do this because he is a fire giant king in this save, or if this is just something you can do now. I really hope it's just something you can do. But, yeah, big fan. Big fan. They have, they could annex the gold mine or a conduit. And there's a special building, the mineral extractor, which is just like the... They basically said this functions exactly like the water provinces, where you can make like a wharf or a port, into a port, into a grand port, into the Seafarers Guild. I don't know if there's like a lava guild, but there's the mineral extractor, which gives +5 mana, +5 gold, and then it goes into the basalt excavation, which requires 2 lava improvement provinces. So I hope this means we can expand into lava now. That would be so cool. But again, there's a lot of unknowns. We will see. The basalt excavation gives +15 production, and then there's the obsidian weaponsmith. Ooh, that sounds really cool. Is that drafts? Here's a picture from the the dungeon in the ice. It looks a little jank. This was a dev build, so like I said, I think this is messed up texture. We'll see. Here is the Fire Giant King. He just looks cool. He almost looks exactly like Yorm, the giant. Not quite. Yorm was very heavily armored, but you get my point. Similar vibe. Here is the Dungeoneering Conclave and just some more dungeon biome looking stuff. There's the Silent Barracks. It's silent because it makes terracotta sentinels. They don't talk. More biome. Boxes. Cities. People to live in. This was not exactly lava, but it's like fiery, so the climate changed a little bit. they showed off some of the, they very quickly showed off some of the Fire Giant King stuff. Is this 50 by default? I doubt it. He has to have some sort of buff for this. But instead of the lightning thing, he has Hurl Flame, which of course is very similar, just deals fire damage. He went into the Hurl Flame, deals more damage and inflicts center defense and resistance. Conjure Animated Fire Sword. You can go into Conjure Animated Lava Bow or the Lava Hammer, which sounds like fun, honestly. Sulphurous. I've convinced myself. It's the hammer. And then he showed off that the Fire Giant had different runes than the Storm Giant. So the Rune of Protection for Fire, instead of Rune of Protection for Lightning, it makes sense. It's basically the same thing except immunity for burning. The Rune of Command for Fire. While Army Leader, all non-hero units in the army have a 20% critical hit chance. Fantastic. Onyx Trinket. That's where we have to make Ragnaros. Oh, we can make the Cursed Ragnaros too, the one with legs. Oh, it's all coming together. The Rune of Power for Fire, gain 10% damage on attacks, and the Rune of Power Fire Infusion gets the Conjure Lava Runestone. Summon a Lava Runestone on target hex and deal damage to units within 2 hex radius around it. Summon lasts for 3 turns. This is what they wanted to show off. It was a special thing for the Fire Giant King. And we are back at where I am. Where we are. Where you are. Where we all are. You can see my the music there. But that, my friends, was the second Dev Diary and Dev stream. I was there live this time. I was actually awake. It was nice. A pleasant change of pace. Although I had to make sure I didn't miss anything or else I would not be live anymore. When they said this Dev Diary was going to be about art, I was perplexed. But now it all makes perfect sense. I hope that you enjoyed. Thank you to patrons and channel members support the channel. I greatly appreciate you. If you would like to stay up on the channel, feel free to join the description down below. Let me know what you think of the handcrafted regions or the dev stream, or both, whatever. And I will see you next week to talk about the feudal culture.